Rights Board to order. Right. At the moment, we have two new members of the board who were just approved this past week. So start by introducing them, and then the other sitting members of the board will introduce themselves. Um, no particular order. Whoever feels compelled to go first.
Hi, hello. I'm Cassandra Porter, and I am very excited to be here. I can't tell you how excited. Truly, this is something that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. You may have seen me lurking in the background over the last few months. I've been attending your meetings, offline or online, but I want to tell you thank you so much for opening this up, and I'm very, very happy to be here. So I look forward to the great things we can do over the next coming years.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Sarah Smani, and also very excited to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And yeah, I've been in Albuquerque for 10 years. I've been a special education teacher. Um, I really care about like disability rights and things like that. And yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Right. I am Jack Champagne. I am the chair of the Human Rights Board presiding as of this last term. Then Mark and Leticia in whatever order.
Hi, welcome. I'm Mark Lamb. I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm a board person who's been on board for about a few months.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am trying to get my technology to wake up here. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get my camera on. I'm using my phone for now, and I have a new laptop, so I'm trying to, it's saying I don't have permissions to have Zoom on there. So I'm so sorry, but I'm Leticia Trujillo, vice chair, I believe. And so very happy to welcome everyone, and thank you for continuing on this journey with us.
All right, awesome. So before we get to approvals, or I guess as we get to approvals, let me ask the new members, have they had a chance to look over the agenda and the previous meeting's minutes?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, in that case, I will move to approve tonight's agenda.
What do we say?
Approve.
So it has to be moved and then seconded before we take a vote on the approval.
I second that.
Excellent. All right. So because I think some of us are online, we have to take a roll call vote. Is that right?
Correct.
All right.
Share, and I'll say somebody's name and then you say aye. Share in agreement. Chair Champagne,
Aye.
Board Member Hinojos, Board Member Lamb,
Aye.
Board Member Trujillo,
She might have just fallen off. Oh, there she is.
Board Member Trujillo.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, back.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Board Member Porter,
Aye.
Board Member Samani.
Aye.
Excellent. All right. So tonight's agenda is approved, and I will move to approve the meeting minutes for our December meeting.
Approve.
We need a second on the motion.
I'll second
I
that.
second.
All right. Excellent.
Okay. Chair Champagne,
Aye.
Board Member Hinojos, Board Member Lamb,
Aye.
Board Member Trujillo,
Aye.
Board Member Porter,
Aye.
Board Member Samani.
Aye.
All right. Excellent. All right. At this point, we will open the meeting to public comment. If any members of the public are here, you feel free to address the body. All right, hearing nothing from the public, we will move to our presentation by the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission. So
Sounds great.
whomever is presenting, feel free to come up and introduce yourself.
Yeah, there's a little button.
Hi, can you hear me? Oh, it's loud. Sorry. Okay. You all can see the presentation? Yeah, okay. Well, I'll start by introducing myself. Yate Shea Shania Loganisha. Torit eating a sled, Chisha Bashin, my Edishkini Dashichade on Nakaidina and Dashinale. Hello, everyone. My name is Shania Log, and I am from Oak Ridge, Arizona, and I was born and raised on the Navajo Nation. Right now, I am a policy analyst at the Navajo Human Rights Commission. I started back in November, so I'm still fairly new to this job. Prior to this, I was a legal secretary, so it's a really big change. And a lot of people in our office my colleagues are also very new. So we're still, trying to grasp the ropes on everything. But I'll go ahead and get started. So my presentation, I'm sorry. Do you mind going back? Okay. We are the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission, and for short, we call ourselves the HRC. And here you have a picture of the Window Rock, and that is the capital of the Navajo Nation. For those of you who have never been there, this picture is specifically of the Veterans Memorial Park in Window Rock. And then we have our contact information there down at the bottom, which we'll also have on the last slide. Thank you. So the establishment of the commission, the Navajo Nation has been advocating for Indigenous human rights since the 1990s. I don't have an extensive background information on the office. Again, I just started in November. And my boss at the time, he was actually born with the commission. He was there since it started. He was a very big advocate of Navajo human rights. Unfortunately, he resigned about a month after I started. So it was a big loss to our office. But, retirement came and he was embraced that. So in the summer of 2006, the Navajo Nation was facing a lot of discrimination in border towns, Farmington, Albuquerque, Winslow, Gallup. And in 2006, a Navajo person was fatally shot in Farmington, New Mexico by a non-Native American, non-Navajo police officer. And from there, it sparked the whole idea of a human rights commission, and the nation asked who would be advocating for our rights, who is tracking intergovernment relations, who's tracking relations between the public and the Navajo Nation and just the general public, things like that. So in June 2006, the Navajo Nation Council received reports from relatives of the individual that was killed in Farmington. And from there, they decided to pass the legislation enabling the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission to be established. And the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission is established within the legislative branch of the Navajo Nation government. And our government is also made up of 3 branches, just like the United States government. We have an executive, legislative, and judicial branch. And the president heads up the executive branch, the speaker heads up the legislative branch, and then the chief justice heads the judicial branch. So we have 3-branch chiefs. And then in the summer of 2008 was when the Navajo Nation Council actually passed legislation to have the office opened, staffed, and everything was put in place for the office to start their work. So the regulatory policies define the qualifications of the commissioners. So we have right now 4 commissioners, but we have there's 5 positions for commissioners. So we have 1 vacant right now. We have 1 commissioner represents business sector, education, social services, law enforcement, and 1 appointed to represent the public at large. So this is our logo. The meaning of the logo are the arrowheads are a symbol of protection. And then in our culture, that's how they are symbolized as a symbol of protection. The feathers represent the Navajo twins. In the Navajo creation story, there were 2 twins that were born from. I might have this wrong, and I apologize. And they were born from Changing Women, correct? And I'm sorry, it's my colleague Brandon. And so the twins they journeyed to their father, the sun, and their journey, the purpose of their journey was because the Navajos were facing different monsters that were terrorizing the Navajo people. So the twins, the purpose of their journey was to see their father and to combat the monsters, to essentially save the Navajo people. And so the twins, that's how the logo represents twins through the feathers. The inner circle represents the Navajo Nation and also signifies the sun. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the sun was the twins' father. And so where the Navajo twins traveled while defeating the monsters to visit their father, the sun, they also brought order to a world of chaos. And so the outer rings of the logo represent the state, national, and international governments. And that is a part of our logo because that's a part of our mandates. And then the outer colors represent the cosmos, where the holy people live, and show the sacred colors of the 4 worlds from which the Diné people emerged. And the Diné people are the Navajo people. And so the open top represents outlet in avoidance of total enclosure. And the 4 white lines on the logo, they indicate influential pathways that the HRC strives to create to prompt recognition of Navajo human rights from the Navajo Nation outward through the state, national, and international government. Our mission and vision statements. So our mission is to protect and promote the human rights of Navajo Nation citizens by advocating human equality at the local, state, national, and international levels based on the Diné principles of Sa'an, Nare, Bik'e, Hajon, Hashkeje, Hajonje, and K'e. So these 4 elements, they translate into being resilient, content, discipline, and maintaining peaceful relationships with all of creation. Our vision is the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission shall serve as a forum to provide information and education with the intention of empowering Navajo Nation citizens on human rights. And our statement of principle is the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission commits to honor the Diné guiding principles of Yinidil, Yine, and Alile Ego, and to be guided by the Diné principles of Sa'anare, Bik'e, Hajon, Hashkeje, Hajonje, and K'e. And the Diné grounding principles translate to being humble and to preserve and honor our cultural beliefs. Okay. So our commissioners, as I mentioned, we have 5 positions for commissioners. Right now we have 4. 1 member shall have extensive employment background in education. And then this is someone who would be a teacher, educator, someone in education administration, a professor. And then we also have a member with an extensive employment background in business, which would be a business owner, a business manager, or a private business employee. One member shall have an extensive employment background in law enforcement, and this would be like a police officer, a police lieutenant, sergeant, a commissioned officer, active or retired. And then one member shall have extensive employment background in social services, meaning a social worker, psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, community liaison, or social service administrator. And then one commissioner would be an at-large Navajo Nation member. And the commissioners are to conduct themselves as fiduciaries while promoting and protecting the human rights of the Navajo people. So the commissioners, when they are appointed, they do serve a 4-year term. Right now, our commissioners have been appointed at different times, so their 4-year terms are not all concurrent. So one of our commissioners, their term is up like this year. The next one is up in another 2 years, and right now it's staggered. So go ahead.
Sorry, I'm gonna change this so that they said that they can't see, so.
Oh, no.
one
Okay.
second, so I can.
So our commissioners are appointed by the Speaker of the Navajo Nation Council. And then it is written into our code in the second or 2 Navajo Nation Code, section 922. That also section of our code details the functions of our office and our plan of operations.
This is fine.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it didn't change.
Oh.
It's weird.
To the next slide. Okay, so these are
Sorry.
our current commissioners. Thank you. Dr. Wendy Shelley Gray Eyes, she is our chairperson of the commission. She is appointed to the at-large position. I understand Dr. Gray Eyes also is a professor at the University of New Mexico here in Albuquerque. Dr. Henry Fowler is our vice chairperson, and he is appointed to represent the education sector. He is employed with Navajo Technical University. And Mr. Roscoe Herrera, he is a member of the commission appointed to represent the law enforcement sector. He is the chief deputy of the Apache County Sheriff. And our vacant position is a member representing social services. And then Mr. Kenneth Cooper is our member representing business. He is the human resources director for the Sanders Unified School District. So the commissioners, the commissioners, they all have their regular, day jobs. And then to serve on the commission, they are appointed by the speaker. And they, essentially, they're volunteering their time to be commissioners. And our office staff, we have 2 vacant positions. Mentioned earlier, we have a vacant executive director position. Our interim director is Ms. Darlene Womichel. She's also a policy analyst with the office. Our senior public information officer is Tiffany Charlie. Our administrative assistant, Mr. Larry Begay. And there's me, Shania Long, the policy analyst. And then we have 2 investigators, which are Aldrian Yellowhair and Brandon James. And as I mentioned, Mr. James is with us today. And then our senior office specialist position is one of our vacant positions. And our plan of operation highlights 4 mandates. Our first mandate is to conduct public hearings to assess race relations in border towns. Several public hearings have been conducted. The latest public hearing was to assess the effectiveness and issues that were arising between the Gallup-McKinley County School District and their unfair, how would you say it? punishment to Navajo kids within the school district. We did recently pass a resolution that accepted that report from our policy analyst, Ms. Darlene Womichel. She was the one who established that report, conducted the public hearings, and through her public hearings, this was before I came on board, it was found that there was a huge discrepancy between how the Gallup-McKinley County School District was punishing the Navajo children in compared to the way that they had did punishment for non-Navajos. Such as, Mexican kids, African American kids, and Caucasian kids. And then, so our second mandate is to advocate and educate Navajo citizens on their human rights. So this is mainly the responsibility of our senior public information officer, with help, of course, from the other staff. And with to educate Navajo citizens, she has developed the little booklets that we've distributed. She also runs our Facebook page, our web page. She has developed like consumer fraud handouts. We do hand out pamphlets on consumer fraud, funeral home fraud, information and education to Navajo citizens who are looking into buying vehicles. That's one of our big issues right now. And then Know Your Rights sessions, which we have one coming up here in the next week. And then Know Your Rights and how to interact with if you're being detained by like ICE agents. And our third mandate is to investigate written complaints of human rights violations. And this is mostly how our investigators are involved in this mandate. Navajo citizens file complaints with our office. It's mostly discrimination, auto issues. There were some issues with other businesses in border towns that were overcharging or just completely not performing the services that were paid for Navajo citizens. There have been other type of complaints that have been submitted, but right now one of our major issues is with auto dealerships in border towns. And so our last mandate is to interface with other human rights organizations at the local, state, national, and international levels. And this is where my role comes into play. One of the biggest aspect of my role is to, like it says, interface with other human rights organizations. So part of that is also developing like the MOU, which we have one with the city of Albuquerque. And then the part of that I haven't really got into, I'm still trying to dip my feet into, is the international aspect of it. Our previous director, he was really big on the international realm of things. He was one of the major contributors to developing the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. He played a really huge part in that. He has done a lot of work with international organizations, especially with the United Nations. And that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to have to pick up here soon. Yeah. And go ahead. Thank you. So one thing I wanted to inform you all of today was the investigation and complaint process with our office. So if Navajo citizen wants to write or submit a complaint to our office, we accept them in person, through the mail, or email. The complaint forms are located in our office or online. They do have to be printed and signed. They have to be submitted completely filled out. If there's information lacking or if there's lines blank, we really try to get those filled in. They are confidential, and they do come with a authorization to release information form. The reason for that is if we have a complaining party who would like us to look into an auto dealership complaint, usually it's to review like their contract or something. We would have to have that release of information form to send to the auto dealership to request like their deal jacket. Another recent complaint we have gotten is employment discrimination. So with that, we would also use the release of information form to send to the previous employer to try to get employment records or anything that we can obtain from the parties. So the complaining party is the individual who is submitting the complaint to the office, and they must be an enrolled member of the Navajo Nation. So they would have to have a membership on file. So they would have to have a CIB number with the Navajo Nation. So through the process, our human rights investigators, which will be Algian or Brandon, they'll go ahead and schedule an intake with the complaining party to go ahead and review the file, ask questions, hear the complaint in person, and really understand what the basis of the complaint is, what type of discrimination, if any. And another reason for the intake is a lot of our complaining parties don't speak English, don't write English very well. So they are there to, Brandon, he's our champion, so he interprets Navajo. He will speak with them in Navajo if they're more comfortable. And then the intake is just, to get to know them more on an in-person basis. And then after the intake is completed, the complaining party's file will be circulated internally between both policy analysts, both investigators, and previously with the executive director. The reason for internal circulation is to review, make recommendations, ask questions, so that the investigators have a little bit more information to go on when they actually schedule, when they schedule their meetings or when they're requesting information from the complaining parties, the party they're complaining on. And then we'll determine how to proceed from there. The human rights investigator will proceed with the investigation if it's recommended. Part of the review process is also to determine if we can proceed with an investigation or not. Some of the reasons why we won't proceed with an investigation is, for example, if a complaining party is submitting a complaint against another enrolled member of the Navajo Nation or the Navajo Nation itself, we cannot investigate those because there are other processes in place that they would have to go through. Another one would be if a complaining party has retained an attorney on their own. We cannot inject ourselves into those. And then, so these cases would be determined ineligible to proceed. And then the human rights investigators would send a letter to the complaining party, letting them know that we cannot proceed with the investigation. Another reason why we might not be able to proceed is if it is determined that there's no discrimination that has taken place, or if there is a different avenue or a better route that this complaint might be filed with that our office can't help with. So the complaining party also has 365 days from the date of the incident to file a complaint with our office. Do you have any questions? No? Questions? Okay. So this is our office contact information, phone, email. We are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. We're closed federal holidays and Navajo Nation holidays. Our location is 100 Mount Taylor Road. Our building is the Kerrigan Professional Building, Suite 111. We are located in St. Michael's, Arizona, and we have just a little, map there to show where we're located at. I believe if you put into Google Maps, the Navajo Human Rights Commission, it should also get you to our location. And that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much.
you.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for Ms. Log?
I have a
Um,
question. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Nope, you go first, please.
Are you sure? Okay, thank you. I know that you said that we have an MOU with you,
Mhm.
okay? That's a great first start. What exactly is it that you would like to see support from us in Albuquerque, here on this particular council? What can we do to support you? I know that we have a very large contingent of the population here in Albuquerque who are members, who are, representative members. So what do you foresee in the future? What do you feel that we might be able to provide?
Um, so far, I have had a really great working relationship with Gabriella and Brandy. And Brandy's the one I've been working with on the MOU, along with Terry Sloan, and forgive me, I'm forgetting there's another person there. But in the future, I would just like to see that working relationship continue. I am still very new to this position, and doing an MOU was one of my very first big projects in this position. And I know my former boss really emphasized, we wanted to incorporate the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples in the MOU because it wasn't previously included in there. So through that work, we also learned that the city also passed resolutions to support the UNDRIP there. And so going forward, I would want to continue having a really good working relationship. Just previously, we did receive a complaint from a citizen who had allegations of workplace harassment within the city of Albuquerque. Now, the complaining party was not employed with the city per se. It was a company that contracted with the city. And so with that complaint, we worked with Gabriella on that. She had some very good recommendations, and we did appreciate that meeting that took place so that we could do everything we can to assist this individual. Now, unfortunately, we did find that there was, well, I wouldn't say unfortunately, but fortunately, we did not find that there was any discrimination from this company. There was no basis to keep this open within our office, but recommendations were made for this individual to pursue other avenues with his complaint. But through that process, it was really great knowing that the city of Albuquerque was here open, willing to help any way that they can. And I really appreciate that. And that's something that I definitely want to continue in the future. And then in the near future, I would like to organize, I believe Brandy pointed out a press conference to get the MOU signed with the city of Albuquerque mayor. Our speaker of the council does have to sign the MOU as well. Now, the downside to that is we do have a vacant executive director position, and that executive director also has to sign the MOU. So that's going to be a tough challenge, but we'll figure it out. But to answer your question, I think going forward, I think just the open communication, the willingness to support our office and vice versa, if there's ever anything we can do for you guys, we will definitely be there to try and help. But thank you.
Thank you, Shania. That was very helpful. Thanks. Thank you.
I think someone else.
Yeah, thank you for that wonderful presentation. I had a couple questions, and understanding that you're new to the position would certainly be understandable if you don't know the answers to these. One question that I had was if you're aware of any trends that you've noticed in terms of what types of complaints come into the Navajo Nation Human Rights Board. Any trends in terms of like geographic location or what the specific nature of the complaint is it relates to like what kind of social sphere, housing, like healthcare, those sorts of things, employment related, or just kind of any trends that you've noticed that are very current that would be good for us to be aware of.
Good question. I know there were some trends we were seeing of healthcare fraud, but that was mainly in Phoenix, Arizona. Still like sober living fraud, where there would be sober living homes in Phoenix. They were coming out to Gallup, the surrounding areas, picking up, the unhoused population, taking them down to Phoenix, saying that they were taking them to a sober living home. Unfortunately, we found that that wasn't the case. They were actually providing, drugs and alcohol to them, but at the same time, they were charging access for all of for the money. So it was a big scam uncovered by Lieutenant Dash with the Navajo Nation Police. And then that was one of the trends that we saw recently. Another, like I said, one of our biggest issues is consumer issues with surrounding automobile dealerships. Now, I can say that from what I've seen, I don't believe we've seen any complaints coming from the Albuquerque area, which is, something that's very, I would say, something to be proud of. Aside from the most recent employment case, but other than that, I don't believe, just from my own memory, there's no open auto complaints. There's no open discrimination complaints. It's mostly in Flagstaff. One of the big issues we saw there was a company that was overcharging Navajos for repairs to like appliances and stuff like that, mechanics. And that was one of the issues I know. Other than that, the border towns that we mainly see complaints coming from are Farmington, Phoenix, and Flagstaff. And then there have been some outliers, like with the city of Winslow Police, Gallup. I think that's mainly it, but nothing in Albuquerque major, no trends, no issues that we've seen so far. Yeah.
It's good.
Thanks for all that information. I remember reading about that in Phoenix. It's really sad and disheartening to learn about. The follow-up question that I had, and again, understanding that you're new to the position, it would be understandable if you're not aware of this. If you have noticed, or if like the board has noticed any progress in any areas since their formation.
I haven't noticed any progress per se from my position, but just knowing personally, I visit Albuquerque often. I know a lot of my friends and family do as well. And I know that the businesses here, restaurants, malls, the big stores, Sam's Club, Costco, all of them, I know that the environment has improved, I would say. Before, I know a lot of people would say, oh, I don't like going to Albuquerque. It's not very pleasant. But lately, I know that's changed just on a personal level. But other than that, nothing work-wise, I would say.
Thank you, and thanks for all the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you for letting us be here today. Thank you for the questions. I enjoyed it. Go ahead.
Oh, can I ask one more question? Actually, it's just to ask you to share about the Navajo Nation's Navajo Nation Know Your Rights event next week.
Oh,
Maybe you can
yes.
Share.
Yes, next week.
That also, just to tag into it,
Mhm.
because I'm recently coming out of an organization for immigration. Can you also maybe just speak a little bit on what you know about immigration enforcement? I know that across the nation, we've seen a large uptick of First Nation Americans being picked up
Mhm.
and taken by, and put in detention, and we're still not sure where they are. And I want to know if that has in any way been impacted also within your nation, but also tying into that Know Your Rights situation. I'd like to know what's going on in that. I'm so sorry to, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's great questions. Actually, I'm gonna ramble here for a bit. So initially, we started about a month ago with an individual that was detained in Peoria, Arizona. This person was living in his car during the week. Actually, it was his mother's car. He was living in his mother's car during the week down in Peoria because that's where he works. Now, he does have a home. He does have his own vehicle, own home, everything on the reservation. Unfortunately, this is a big situation we see with a lot of Navajos. They go, for weeks, they'll go to another town to work. They'll come back on weekends, take care of their family. Their family will stay on the reservation. And that was the case with this individual. He was, again, staying in his mother's car. And in the morning around 4 a.m., he went to the store to go get ready for work, starting his work day. And ICE came. They did tell him, we are going to detain you till we can verify your citizenship. Now, he did have his birth certificate, his social security card. He had his CIB with him, all of his documents, ID, everything. Unfortunately, they did not take that and let him go at the time. They did detain him at a facility that was, I believe, just right down the road from where he was staying. But during that time, he did have his own encounters with non-Navajos who were being illegal or who were being detained because they were illegal. And so during that time, it's like a whole story that he went through, and it's, newspaper articles and TikToks about it. But just that experience, I believe he is so far the only Navajo who has been detained by ICE, who has been confirmed detained by ICE. After they verified his citizenship, they did let him out, and they kept him for about 4 hours, I believe. And our office has been trying to get in contact with this individual because being detained, basically because he was racially profiled. Now that is a violation of his rights, and we do want, to have him submit a complaint on that. So that we could dive further into that matter and figure out how our office can further combat the, racially profiling and stuff like that through our office. Now, so after that happened, our office, along with the president's office, the Department of Health, the Navajo Nation Washington office, all got together, and there's already been a hotline established. It's called Operation Rainbow Bridge. That came into the works after the sober living fraud stuff happened. So that's how that hotline was established. Now, the hotline, when you call it, gives you options. If you want this office, press 1, press 2, press 3. I believe we are the third option on that hotline, but a lot of people don't understand that we're not a 24/7 boots on the ground office. That's something that we try to emphasize when people call the hotline. Now the hotline does connect you with the Department of Public Safety for the Navajo Nation. It connects you with the Department of Health, the President's Office. All of them have personnel that do work 24/7. Someone who can man the phones. Our office doesn't. So we do try to emphasize that and educate the public on that. And then another reason is because our office can't technically go investigate until we have a written complaint. So if someone, previously, if someone has called our office and said, I think my loved one has been detained by ICE, our previous director had his own contacts with ICE that he would reach out to. Yeah. And so he would do that. Now, with his departure went, a lot of his knowledge, his contacts, and everything. So we're trying to still in that area of how do we proceed with if this happens. So it's really on a case by case basis when people call our office.
And what is that hotline number? I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Didn't mean to interrupt you either.
Oh, no,
It is 1-855 435 7672.
Thank you so much.
And it's Operation Rainbow Bridge. And I believe they have a website too, if you want to look at that. So, we also got a phone call back when ICE was a major hot topic in Minnesota. We do have citizens living in Minnesota, which I had no idea there was a big Navajo population in Minnesota. So this individual who called had her mother and her mother-in-law living with her in Minnesota. They're all Navajo. Unfortunately, the mother and the mother-in-law don't have birth certificates or CIBs, and that's the case with a lot of our Navajo citizens, the older citizens. So her concern was that they were deploying more ICE agents. A lot of them were not even taking CIBs, even if you had it. They were just pretty much stopping anyone here, there, everywhere, questioning their citizenship. So through that, we also tried to determine how we could get ICE to recognize tribal IDs, because we are also being told that tribal IDs were not being acknowledged. Now, tribal IDs are allowed to use through elections in state election laws. And so we did consult with our attorneys that we work with at the ACLU, the Native American Rights Fund. They did let us know that tribal IDs are legally required to be accepted by ICE. DHS, they are legally sufficient. They are also sufficient to travel through TSA. So if you ever need to do that, that's available. So our Know Your Rights session is really, it's developed to help natives, mainly Navajos. I say mainly Navajos because we want to talk to them about tribal IDs, getting your CIB, how our office distributes those, the process and everything. But the Know Your Rights can also apply to other Native Americans as well. So the Know Your Rights session is basically knowing your constitutional rights, what you can and cannot do when you are being interacting with ICE agents. And that Know Your Rights session is going to take place next week on Wednesday. That will be at the Gateway Center at Gibson Health Hub. And I believe that's 5400 Gibson Road Southeast. That'll be here. It is from 1 to 4 p.m. And we'll be holding that here in Albuquerque. We will also be having a representative from our ACLU New Mexico and from the Navajo Office of Vital Records. And the Navajo Office of Vital Records will discuss the process of obtaining a tribal ID, a CIB, the difference between those. And then I also put together a flyer of knowing the difference between a state ID, a regular state ID, a real ID, and a tribal ID. And it's a big flyer, big pamphlet. But each state, it only covers the 3 states in which borders our nominations. So there's the Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. And then it has the tribal ID information in there as well. Do you have any, does that answer your questions?
It answers my
Okay.
question. And also, have you seen an uptake
Yeah.
in people trying to get their documentation now? I mean, I would think that that would be an important thing, but I'm wondering if that's actually reaching the population.
Yes, we have seen an uptick, and I believe the Navajo Nation Office of Vital Records is actually booked a month out with appointments for people who are trying to get their tribal ID. Now, the reason that takes a while is because they have a new process. So originally, people could go in to get a CIB stating they're a fourth, a half, three quarters, or 4/4 Navajo. And that's based off of the paperwork that they submit and their parental information. Now, the new process to get a tribal ID, it requires the employees, and mind you, the office is only staffed with like 3 people, and we have over 400,000 members. So now the new process, whoever will submit an application for a tribal ID, the employee will take that information. They are now going back to the mother's information, the father's information, the grandmother, the grandfather on both sides to confirm that they actually do have the blood quantum, because that blood quantum they're putting onto the tribal ID. And now the tribal ID will replace the green CIB papers that they've previously given out, and they will not distribute the green CIB paper after you have obtained a tribal ID. And the tribal ID is $18, but if you lose it, it's $50. And it's a lot of a lot of hoops to jump through. But if you need a tribal ID, that's the process to getting one. Now, with state driver's licenses, Arizona passed a law to put a Native American endorsement on the driver's license, but that's in Arizona only. And I believe New Mexico has recently introduced legislation to do that, if I have my information correct. So on your driver's license, whether it's a standard or a real ID license, you can get a designation on there. It's just, saying you're Native American on your driver's license. It's with that, you just have to provide like a CIB. If it's not a CIB, it's a tribal ID, something just denoting that you're Native American, and you can get that designation. And I understand there's no additional charge for that, aside from, if you were to get a new ID. But I know the Motor Vehicle Division in Arizona, excuse me, I believe that they are not backlog as much as the Navajo Nation is, and they do take walk-ins, but the Navajo Nation Vital Records Office, they don't take walk-ins unless you're doing a renewal of your tribal ID. Tribal IDs expire every 4 years as well. But the Arizona licenses, mine doesn't expire until like 2060. So
Okay. Thank you very much. This is sorry to have so much of your time.
no,
I appreciate
that's fine. Yeah. Any other? I think there's a hand raised.
Yeah, Leticia.
Thank you. Thank you for that very pertinent and very important information. Thank you for sharing. It's really been very pertinent to the work I do. I'm an outreach worker, so I work with unaccompanied, abandoned, homeless, or displaced youth. So I am assuming that the Know Your Rights is directly applicable to the youth as well, correct?
Yes, we have been informed that the youth minors have the same rights, as adults do. And I forgot to mention for the tribal IDs, they also provide them to minors, but they will need their parents to provide confirmation of the tribal enrollment, residency, proof of residency on the Navajo Nation, or not on the Navajo Nation, but just proof of residency for the state. Blood quantum, yes. So we, in our Know Your Rights and on the flyer that we developed for the ID and driver's licenses and the tribal ID, we did include information for minors on there. So if that's ever in question, you know, it's on the flyer. And I can email Gabriella the flyer and she can send it to you guys if you want. And then we
That would
also
be
yeah, Know Your
that would
Rights.
be that would be awesome. Thank you for that, because I do work with students who are have been displaced and are Native American, and so often I mean, my resource would be usually I refer them to First Nations and work with First Nations for support and reach out to them. But if I have other, if this is another resource that I could definitely tap into, I would, take all the resources we can get at this point.
Yes, please, definitely. If you ever need our help, and then for the just to go back for our commission, if they need to submit a complaint, unfortunately they do need parental or guardian to sign off on a complaint if they want to submit one. But other than that, I'm very open to helping, any way I can. And especially minors, displaced minors, but
Yes,
thank
because there are the IDs when we're dealing with minors who are unaccompanied, who are in a displaced situation, who or may have been abandoned due to you know in most cases their parents passing away. Um, how are they supported through the process of obtaining their IDs if they don't have a parent to sign?
that would be a question for the Navajo Nation Vital Records Office. I'm not too sure about their processes. I just know, the paperwork that they require to get a tribal ID, along with the paperwork necessary to get a standard ID, a real ID through the state. Yeah, that would be a question for Vital Records or even the New Mexico or Arizona Motor Vehicle Division. But support-wise, I'm not too sure if our office could offer any support through that. However, I work alongside a representative at the Navajo Nation Office of the President and Vice President. Her name is Yolanda Zua. She is a very great resource to have. She's very helpful. She's very willing to help anyone and everyone. And I think that I could send you her email. She's very, very open to communicating with anyone, and I think she would have the connections that would be able to help a minor who is facing that situation.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, awesome. Are there any further questions from anyone? Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate you sharing this with us.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for having us here today. It was a real pleasure. The drive was windy, but it was really nice. And I think we're gonna go get some dinner now. But thank you all. Gabriella, thank you for having us here. Thank you for the communication, the questions. I really like questions. So yeah. Thank
Awesome.
you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
Okay, our next agenda item is the report from the Office of Civil Rights. Is someone here to provide that report?
I just will share, yes, me. Hi,
Yes. All right,
everyone.
great.
Welcome to the new board members. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. So I have a report from the last 3 months of data from the Office of Civil Rights. Let me pull it up. I also sent it to you via email. Okay, you guys see it? Small.
Yes, I see it.
Great. So this is from October 1st through December 31st. So this is for the new board members. This is the second time that I'm doing this report. So after I did the first report for the first quarter of the fiscal year for 2026, I got some feedback from the board members of other information that they'd like to add. So this isn't this effort, and I'm open to other suggestions of how to improve the report so it's useful for the board.
This is I'm so sorry, I'm just looking at the date up there. Report for the second quarter fiscal year 2026.
Yes, so the city of Albuquerque, their fiscal year starts
That's right.
July 1st.
July to July, yes.
Thank
Yes,
you for
through June
reminding me of
30th,
that.
yes.
I'm a grant writer. I should know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All
So
right.
here we have the vision and mission statement for the board. So this is the number of intake calls we received during this 3-month period. I put a note there that November 1st, we started using IQ Connect, which is the system for online complaints for the Office of Civil Rights. So maybe people weren't used to it, whatever happened, there's like a dip there in number of complaints. If people do submit a complaint over the phone, then we also manually add that information to the system itself. This is individual self-describe what type of discrimination in what case type it is. As you can see, housing is the majority of the calls that we're receiving and the issues. Here again, complainants are self-describing what is the discrimination that they have been facing. So again, not again, but disability, this is consistent to the previous report. So housing and disability are the largest numbers of discrimination into the Office of Civil Rights for the city of Albuquerque. There was a request to add zip codes. So we added zip codes. You can see there's a lot of not available information. So our system, the way that we currently have, doesn't require individuals to really put any of the information because we want to make sure that it's an accessible complaint form. But then it does mean that a lot of individuals don't add their zip codes. One thing that I was thinking for this report that might be useful for future ones is because a lot of people don't even put their full address, but as we have more resources within our office, we're able to get the full information of the address itself. And then perhaps the report can be by district for city council. That might be a useful information as well for the board.
So quick question, on the housing complaints, because it's the bulk of the ones that are currently out there. Do we collect that housing information? I mean, if they have a complaint about housing, I'm assuming that there is some kind of associated address or something with that. So at least we're collecting it on that.
Yes, some of them, yes,
Mhm.
correct. Yeah, so they put the address. Yes. Yeah.
I ask a lot of questions.
No, it's
folks. I
good.
hope you can get used to it.
I have a quick question. Do we know if it's families with kids with disabilities or if it's adults with disabilities? Just because I've heard of neighbors trying to kick someone out because they hear a kid making noise because they have a disability. I'm just curious, if we know any sense of who this population is, veterans.
Yes, the majority from what I remember, I would have to look into the data, but from I can remember on top of my head, majority are the individuals that have disability. They're looking for accommodation with their landlords and they're facing discrimination. There are a few cases of children and the parents are calling on their behalf.
Do you feel this is more around housing also?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What kind of accommodations are they typically being denied? Or do you remember?
Maybe it's access to a ramp or around emotional support animals. Yeah.
When I was with the Supportive Housing Coalition, that was our main thing was ramps, being able, for some reason, even though they would apply for a apartment on a bottom floor, there was an apartment for a bottom floor, and then the day they moved in, they put them on the second floor. And that they've already taken all of their money and everything, and now they're on the second floor and they can't get up the they have to find ways to get up the stairwell and stuff like that. And those are very common, strangely enough.
Okay.
But yeah. And then support animals are also another one. Yeah.
I would say there's several apartment complexes that don't have any elevators or any way to access a second floor unless you are able to take the stairs. And I've personally had the experience of being told that I was given one unit, and uh, then the day of move in, told it was a different unit. Um, in general, I would say the rental practices around here are pretty suspect and problematic, which is maybe a topic for another conversation.
And this is from the 49 calls from the past quarter. You can see the majority of the calls we were able to resolve within 1 or 2 phone calls or emails. And then another 19 were referred to other agencies. So in the category of the briefs that were, resolved in 1 or 2 phone calls, it might have been because, maybe they were not within the jurisdiction with the human rights ordinance, because it wasn't within the city limits, it had been over the 90 days. Perhaps it wasn't actually, after some conversation, it wasn't actually a violation of the human rights ordinance. Included in that is also, and in the referral, if it was a city employee complaining about, something happening within the city department, that also doesn't go in, similarly to what the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission was describing, that doesn't go through the process of the Office of Civil Rights. That goes through the department director and the human rights, and their human resources division. And there was a question also, where are we referring individuals? So Human Rights Commission, EEOC, different city departments. We also get lots of calls asking for legal resources and New Mexico disability rights. So I hope this information is helpful. I know for the subcommittee's conversation, especially on the outreach piece, maybe this can help inform, next steps and how to do education in the community as well. And then, go ahead.
So when you refer people to legal services, are they generally people who are asking OCR to do something that is more appropriate to other legal resources, or are they specifically looking for legal resources when they call?
They call asking for legal representation and legal resources. Yes.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I am using actually a list that was provided in our office from, a few years ago, but this is I'm happy to send it to the whole board. And if there's edits and additions that might be helpful for that legal resources sheets, I welcome that as well.
I always like having resources, so feel free to send it to me. I would absolutely love that. I know that I work with a variety of different nonprofits, and it's always nice to be able to refer something to, one of the agencies I work with or that I volunteer with. So yeah, I'm always up for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and if you have recommendations of other organizations that might not be added to the list.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
Could you give us a little bit more information about which what were some of the issues that fall under the category of other form of discrimination?
Sometimes the other isn't actually discrimination. It might be that doesn't fall within the ordinance itself. So for example, somebody's driving and somebody might have screamed something to them while they were driving, right? In those cases, they don't have any information about the other individual. They don't really share their data, or, they went somewhere and someone was rude to them, but they weren't denied any services, and they don't actually describe it as because they're part of a protected class. So we get a lot of all sorts of different complaints within our office.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything more on the OCR report?
I was just going to mention about the Navajo Nation Know Your Rights event, but I'm glad that Shania already shared, and I'm happy to share the flyer with the group.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. The next is new business. If you took a look at the last meeting minutes, We proposed to simplify the subcommittee structure. At the moment, there are four subcommittees, and we would like to reorganize them into two, with broader responsibilities amongst the two of them. So at present, there is a resolution to reorganize the subcommittees, one into the Accountability and Community Engagement Subcommittee, and second in the Research, Investigation, and Policy Subcommittee. At that meeting, we had proposed chairs for those subcommittees, but because Member Hinojos's membership on the board is provisional, and the previous past chair, Anami Das, is no longer on the board, we should, I think, propose the subcommittees at this meeting and then worry about who is heading them at the next meeting when we have a fuller board, if that is okay with everyone. Okay. So is there any discussion on the subcommittee structure as already proposed? All right, hearing none, I move to reorganize our subcommittees as stated, the Accountability and Community Engagement Subcommittee and the Research, Investigation, and Policy Subcommittee.
I second.
Okay. We'll take our vote.
Chair Sean Champagne.
Aye.
Board Member Larry Hinojos. Board Member Mark Lamb.
Aye.
Board Member Leticia Galvez Trujillo.
Aye.
Board Member Cassandra Porter.
Aye.
Board Member Sarah Samani.
Aye.
Okay, cool. Our only other piece of new business is our immediate past chair, Anami Das, was nominated and affirmed as the vice chair of the board. In the intervening time since then, her reapplication to serve on the board was not approved by the city council. So we are in need of a new vice chair. As you mentioned before, Leticia Trujillo has volunteered to serve in that capacity, but of course she will have to be formally nominated and affirmed. And we would like to give the opportunity, if anyone else would like to serve as vice chair, they have the opportunity to do so as well. So I will open the matter up for discussion. If there's any discussion on the current motion, which is to nominate. One second.
Okay, so if anyone else is interested in the vice chair position, please do not feel you will offend me in any way. I was the immediate past chair before Chair Das. So if I just kind of thought when my first year on the board, I was kind of my learning year. So so I'm happy to fill this role as you all are, as we have new board members. But if you want to step up into the role, that's okay as well.
I would like to state that at some point in the future, I would be very interested, but I think that this is my very first meeting and I don't even know what the job entails yet. But you know what, maybe if it comes to a point, Leticia, where you're like, hey, I've got to get out of this, please contact me and we can have a conversation once I know what we're doing. Okay, but I do know that I have an awful lot of time on my hands while I'm looking for another job. So I've got a lot that I can do. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate that. Welcome, both our new board members, and I completely understand. This is my first year as well, was a learning year. So and it was a lot of exciting information and a lot to learn. And so thank you, but I do appreciate your offer.
I will strive to make it so that your time as vice chair is not unbearable enough for you to ask for it to leave. But I will understand if that is an option you have. All right. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right. Hearing none, I nominate Leticia Trujillo to serve as vice chair of the board.
I second that.
Okay. We will vote on her appointment.
Chair Champagne,
Aye.
Board Member Hinojos, Board Member Lamb,
Aye.
Board Member Trujillo,
Aye.
Board Member Porter,
Aye.
Board Member Samani.
Aye.
So now Vice Chair Trujillo has been affirmed, and that concludes new business. So we will move to announcements. Okay. If there are no announcements, then I will we can conclude this meeting of the Human Rights Board, and I will move to adjourn.
I second.
All right.
Very good.
Right. This one does not require a vote as long as we have no objection.
Mhm.
This is gonna be fun.
Thank you all. It's so nice meeting the new board members and welcome everyone.
Thank you.
It's gonna be exciting, I think. I'm really looking forward to this. I can't
There would be.
tell you how excited I am.
That's great.
There would be members, but these are investor boards. They can, get information from whoever they want. If they have a recurring character who shows up at those subcommittees,
Yeah.
but they wouldn't have any kind of authority.
If you have rules and procedure, I mean, that's somewhere you can state that, right? If you want to think about rules and state what those requirements are, it's not in the charter or the ordinance. So that kind of gives the board that power to make that decision.